The unsettling hitchhiker. Hey, guys. So, let me tell you about this crazy thing that happened to me a while back. It was during a road trip, one of those adventures where you hit the open road and hope for some unforgettable experiences. Well, this was definitely unforgettable, but not in a good way. It was late at night, and my buddy Mark and I were driving through a remote area. The road stretched ahead, winding through dense forests and eerie darkness. Our headlights sliced through the blackness, revealing nothing but the lonely asphalt and a few flickering road signs. We were the only car for miles. Suddenly, out of nowhere, we noticed a figure standing on the side of the road. It was a man, thumb extended, hitchhiking. We debated whether to pick him up, but the guy seemed harmless enough, so we decided to lend a hand. As soon as he climbed into the back seat, I couldn't shake this uneasy feeling. He introduced himself as Jake and seemed polite, but there was something off about him. His eyes, man, they were cold and vacant. He had this unnerving smile plastered across his face the entire time. But hey, we thought, maybe he was just a bit socially awkward. We all have our quirks, right? The conversation started innocently enough, but then Jake started asking strange questions. He wanted to know if we were alone, where we were headed, and even if we had any weapons in the car. It was like he was sizing us up, and the hair on the back of my neck stood on end. We tried to change the subject, keep things light and casual, but Jake wasn't having it. He just kept probing, asking more and more personal questions. I glanced at Mark, and I could see the worry etched on his face too. Then, things took a turn for the worse. Jake started revealing details about our lives that he couldn't have possibly known. He mentioned our hometowns, our families, even our childhood memories. It was like he had been watching us, studying our every move. Panic set in as we realized we were in the presence of a deranged stalker. Mark and I exchanged glances, silently agreeing that we needed to get rid of this guy. But when we attempted to pull over and confront him, Jake's demeanor changed. His smile faded, replaced by a menacing glare. He threatened us, telling us that if we didn't keep driving, he would make sure we regretted it. Fear paralyzed us. We had no choice but to keep going, our hearts pounding in our chests. The road seemed to stretch on forever, and with each passing mile, the tension grew thicker. I could barely hear the sound of my own breathing over the pounding in my ears. Finally, we reached a desolate gas station, the only sign of civilization in what felt like an eternity. We knew we had to make a run for it. As soon as we pulled into the station, Mark and I bolted out of the car, shouting for help. We were lucky that the attendants took us seriously and called the police. By the time the cops arrived, Jake was nowhere to be found. The officers listened to our harrowing tale, but they couldn't find any trace of the man. It was like he had vanished into thin air. They assured us they would do everything they could to track him down, but I couldn't shake the feeling that Jake was still out there, lurking in the shadows. That night changed me, guys. I can't drive down a deserted road without looking over my shoulder, without feeling that same chill crawling up my spine. It's like Jake left an indelible mark on my soul, a permanent scar of fear. The abandoned motel. Hey, everyone. Gather around and let me tell you about this bone-chilling encounter I had during a road trip. Now, you know those motels you stumble upon in the middle of nowhere? The ones that seem frozen in time, with their faded signs and broken windows? Well, this story takes place in one of those places, and let me tell you, it's not a place you'd want to spend the night. So, there I was, driving along a desolate stretch of highway, the sun sinking below the horizon. Fatigue weighed heavy on my eyelids, and I desperately needed a place to rest. That's when I saw it, an old motel, barely visible through the overgrown weeds. I pulled into the parking lot, the gravel crunching beneath my tires. The place looked like it hadn't seen a guest in decades. The walls were peeling, and the front entrance creaked ominously as I pushed it open. It was like stepping into a time capsule of terror. I cautiously made my way down the dimly lit hallway, the flickering light bulbs casting eerie shadows on the faded wallpaper. The air was musty, and the silence was deafening. Every creak and groan echoed through the empty corridors, as if the very walls were whispering secrets. I finally reached my room, a dingy space that felt like a tomb. The bed was lumpy, and the air conditioner rattled like a trapped ghost. I tried to shake off the unsettling feeling, convincing myself it was just an overactive imagination. But I couldn't ignore the sense of being watched. As the night wore on, I heard strange noises, a distant moan, a whispered voice. I dismissed them as figments of my imagination, but the unease gnawed at me. Sleep was elusive, and every shadow seemed to dance with malevolent intent. Then, in the dead of night, I woke up to the sound of scratching at my door. Panic surged through me as I huddled in the corner, praying that whatever was outside would go away. But the scratching persisted, growing louder and more frenzied. Summoning all my courage, I crept towards the door and peeked through the peephole. My blood turned to ice as I saw a figure standing there, a twisted, contorted shape with wild eyes and a sinister grin. It was a person, but their appearance was anything but human. Terrified, I backed away, my heart pounding in my chest. But the scratching continued, now accompanied by low, guttural laughter. It was as if this deranged being was reveling in my fear, relishing in the torment it was inflicting upon me. In a blind panic, I grabbed my belongings and bolted out of the room, leaving behind any semblance of rationality. I raced to my car, never looking back, and peeled out of that forsaken motel, leaving it in my rearview mirror. To this day, I can't forget the horrors that transpired in that motel. The haunting road. Hey, everyone. You won't believe the chilling tale I have for you today, a bone-chilling encounter that took place on a desolate road that seemed to have a life of its own. Buckle up, because this story will make your hair stand on end. It was a stormy night, the rain pelting down in sheets, obscuring visibility to mere feet ahead. I was driving alone, my windshield wipers struggling to keep up with the downpour. Lightning streaked across the sky, illuminating the desolate road in eerie flashes. As I pressed on, I couldn't shake this unnerving feeling, as if the road itself was watching me, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The trees on either side swayed menacingly, their branches reaching out like gnarled fingers, ready to snatch me from the safety of my car. The storm grew fiercer, and my GPS suddenly went haywire, displaying nonsensical directions. I had no choice but to rely on my instincts and the dim glow of the road ahead. Each bend in turn seemed to lead deeper into a labyrinth of fear and uncertainty. Then, out of nowhere, I spotted a figure standing in the middle of the road, a woman in a tattered white gown, her dark hair clinging to her face. Panic gripped me as I slammed on the brakes, barely stopping in time to avoid hitting her. I rolled down my window and called out, asking if she needed help. Her head slowly turned towards me, her eyes empty voids, devoid of life. A bone-chilling silence hung in the air as she took a step closer, her movement unnaturally slow and deliberate. My heart hammered in my chest, urging me to escape this nightmare. With trembling hands, I shifted into reverse and floored the gas pedal. But as I looked into my rearview mirror, my blood ran cold. The woman had disappeared, swallowed by the inky blackness that enveloped the road. It was as if she had never been there at all. Determined to put this terrifying encounter behind me, I continued my journey, hoping to find solace in the embrace of civilization. But the road had other plans. It twisted and turned, leading me deeper into a labyrinth of darkness, with no sign of an exit. Hours passed, or perhaps it was an eternity, I couldn't tell. The storm raged on, battering my car and my sanity. I felt trapped, as if the road itself was a malevolent force, toying with me, relishing in my desperation. Just when I thought I couldn't take it anymore, the storm began to subside, the rain easing into a gentle drizzle. The road straightened, and I found myself approaching a small town, an oasis of light in the sea of darkness. I stumbled out of my car, my body trembling with exhaustion and fear. I swore never to speak of that haunting road again, but deep down, I know that its memory will forever haunt my dreams.